Day 117 of the war in Gaza, where clashes with Hamas terrorists are ongoing, both in the north and in the south. The IDF announced the deaths of 3 reserve soldiers who were killed while fighting in Gaza, bringing the military death toll from the ground offensive to 223. The fallen, Major Nesser Simchi, 30, from the northern Israeli community of Masad. Captain Gavriel Shani, 28, from the community of Eli. Warrant Officer Yuval Nir, 43, from the community of Kfar Etzion. In Khan Yunis, the 98th Division arrested 3 terrorists inside a strategic tunnel. Division 98 are the only IDF forces operating currently in southern Gaza, and their focus is a refugee camp on the western side of the city while moving slowly toward Hamas leadership hiding inside the tunnels under the town. Fighting is also renewed in northern Gaza, where 100 Hamas terrorists were killed during ongoing operations by the 162nd Division in the area of the Shifa Hospital. Many of the gunmen were killed by precision airstrikes called in by ground forces. The operations in the north are meant to clear the area of terrorists who emerged after the IDF had fully controlled the area and removed most of the troops. IDF Chief of Staff Halevi said that special emphasis was being placed on ensuring that hospitals in Gaza, Judea and Samaria, and Lebanon are not used by the terrorists.
אנחנו לא רוצים להפוך בתי חולים לזירות לחימה, שמימין יש חולים ומשמאל יש רופאים ואחיות, ובאמצע מחבלים, אבל אנחנו עוד הרבה יותר מזה נחושים לא לאפשר שבתי חולים, לא בעזה, לא ביהודה ושומרון, לא בלבנון, לא מעל הקרקע ולא בפירים למנהרות מתחת לבתי החולים, יהפכו להיות המקום שהוא המחסה לטרור.
Meanwhile, the IDF released for publication that it has been flooding some tunnels in the Gaza Strip with seawater. The flooding of the tunnels is just one method of neutralizing Hamas's underground capabilities. Other methods include explosives placed inside tunnel shafts, aerial attacks, and underground maneuvers. The IDF said that before it floods tunnels, it carries out professional and preemptive checks, including an analysis of the soil and water system in the area to ensure groundwater is not contaminated.
They deny the kidnapping of our children, the murder of our grandchildren, the rape of our daughters. The new Nazis we face today will stop at nothing to destroy civilization as we know it. The World Jewish Congress was created exactly for these times like this, so every Jew can fall asleep at night knowing they are safe in their own home. We are a voice for the Jewish people everywhere. We are the World Jewish Congress.
A series of contacts are underway in Washington and Cairo to bring pressure on Hamas to agree to a hostage agreement for an extended pause in the Gaza war and the release of at least hundreds of Palestinian security prisoners. More in this report from Amit Harari.
U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan met separately with visiting Qatari Prime Minister Al Thani and with Israeli Strategic Affairs Minister Ron Dermer. The U.S. for the first time publicly urged Qatar to bring more pressure to bear on Hamas. Qatar responded saying that criticism is counterproductive because they do not decide for Hamas. Qatar is Hamas' leading sponsor and hosts terrorist leadership in Doha. Al Thani said Qatar is not a superpower that can impose something, but we have communications with Hamas as they are trying their best to broker a deal. Meanwhile, a delegation of Hamas officials is expected to meet with Egyptian intelligence chief Abbas Kamal in Cairo on Wednesday to discuss a potential truce for hostage deal. Hamas has now confirmed that it had received a draft and was examining it. The Qatar brokered proposal, which was presented to Hamas by mediators after talks with Israel, would be comprised of 3 stages, during which all hostages held by Hamas in Gaza since October 7 would be released in return for an undetermined number of Palestinian prisoners jailed in Israel. The officials said the proposal involved a phased truce, during which the terror group would first release the remaining civilians among the hostages abducted on October 7, and a halt of IDF military operations throughout all 3 stages.
אני שומע אמירות על כל מיני עסקאות, אז אני רוצה להבהיר. אנחנו לא נסיים את המלחמה הזאת עם פחות מהשגת כל יעדיה. וזה אומר חיסול החמאס, החזרת כל חטופינו, והבטחה שעזה לא תהווה עוד איום על ישראל. אנחנו לא נוציא את צה"ל מרצועת עזה, ואנחנו לא נשחרר אלפי מחבלים. כל זה לא יקרה. מה כן יקרה? ניצחון מוחלט.
And joining us now is Likud Knesset member Boaz Bismuth. Much to talk about and so few real answers. Let's start with the potential for a hostage deal. The Prime Minister is saying that Israel will not release thousands of security prisoners. He did it to make a deal for one hostage, Gilad Shalit, years ago. Why would we not now agree to release thousands in return for 136 Israelis, mostly civilians, held captive for 117 days?
No, honestly, I would prefer not to comment about the deal that was not done yet. I think that it will only disturb the potential of bringing back the hostages, which is today the main issue. I think that what is certain is that Israel will do anything in order to bring them back. I think that also is to play the game of Hamas, to start arguing among ourselves what is a good deal, what is a bad deal, what can we do, what should we do. The only thing we can say is that you honestly know that I'm among the people in the Knesset that thinks that Israel has to do anything. But let's also be realistic. There are demands that Israel cannot accept, because we have got two objectives in this war. One is bringing back the hostages, of course, but also dismantling or destroying, if I prefer to say, Hamas. And those two objectives have to be respected. Otherwise, we lost the war.
Well, the war strategy is sometimes hard to understand for the viewer. The IDF ground maneuvers started in the north, moved gradually south in Gaza toward the Egyptian border. That's the place that controls all that goes in and out, the so-called Philadelphia route. Why was that not taken at the start of the war, and will it ever be taken?
Okay, so first of all, I'll be very blunt and very clear in my answer. I believe that without functioning, without action in all of Gaza, you will not be able to obtain the objectives, meaning Israel will have, or the Israeli IDF will have to operate in Philadelphia, as you mentioned, and in Rafah. This is obvious. But Israel always say that the war will be long. We never hide it. This is totally clear. It's a long war. So you started, of course, with the north, then you go to the south. There are stages in this war. But as I said before, there are objectives. Don't forget that this is a war with tunnels. This is a war that the world has not seen, since I think the 40s in Okinawa between Americans and Japanese. It's tough and rough. You've got also the hostages over there. It's going to be long. But as I said in the first question you asked me, the objectives have to be maintained. And this is why I believe that if you want to obtain the objectives, you will have to operate in all of Gaza, in all the territory.
Well, about those objectives, the defense minister is now saying that there need to be some kind of permanent security presence in Gaza, at least for the near term, similar to what we now have in Judea and Samaria. Do you agree with that? And if so, why not join those calling to rebuild Israeli settlements in Gaza like we had before disengagement? Do you rule it out?
Look, you're talking to me now about the day after the war, when we're still at the war. The war is going to be long, tough, and rough. One. Two, concerning the day after, when it comes to security issues, business, I was among the ones, who proposed, the issue of the day after with Minister Shikli and the deputies Dani Luz and Moshe Saada, where, of course, you've got this tampon zone between us and the Gaza Strip, of course, and you will have corridors inside Gaza from parallel to Rafah in order to prevent, again, bombs, missiles, ammunition coming to the Gaza Strip like we have seen now. Now, you're asking a very specific question concerning, of course, building settlements in the Gaza Strip itself. In 2005, when you had the disengagement, I was among the ones who, was really, really sad. I was ambassador at the time, watching the settlers, who are being taken out of their homes, and I thought it was a very, very sad blow. Today, many years after, you see that it wasn't only an ideological mistake, but it was also a military mistake. Yet, that is important. I do believe that everything that is not in consensus, everything that is, how would I say, might provoke a certain disaccord in the nation. Or let's take it in a very blunt way. Imagine now you've got a tank in Gaza, and you remember in 2005 you had the orange ones, those who were orange were against the disengagement, and the blue were for. In the Israeli tank now you've got those who believe in disengagement, you have those who oppose. I do not wish to see them arguing in the tank, and this is why any issue that is not consensual right now, when you're in a war, I prefer to leave it for afterwards.
Before we're out of time, I want to ask you this. What about the civilians in the north and south still out of their homes for 117 days now? When will they be able to return home?
I would like to thank you for asking me that question, because not many journalists are asking me that question. And thanks again, because, my God, we're forgetting, like, more than 100,000 people don't live in their homes right now. You know, I go to cities like Shlomi, a city where 9,000 population, 9,500, I think. Now you've got only a few hundreds. Supermarket only open 3 hours a day. Imagine in a sovereign country. I was in Kiryat Shmona recently. The same here. You see like a phantom city, like a city without its citizens. In Israel 2024, this is something that the sovereign state cannot accept. Yet, I see those populations live in a hotel room. Try to imagine all of us. We go to an hotel room during holidays. After 2, 3, 4 days, you'll always have your wife, yourself, your kids to say, when are we going back home? And these ones, they're asking themselves, our brothers and sisters, south, north, when are we going back home? Yet, I can understand that you wouldn't like to go back home when you don't even know. I mean, if you're secured over there, I think, let's take the north, for example. We don't speak enough of the north. Go to the north, like Kiryat Shmona, and you listen to the bombs, you listen to you feel the tension. I mean, you live the tension. And that is why I also believe that it's not a question of if, but it's a question of when you will have also unfortunately, I say unfortunately because the war has casualties, we'll have a war also in the north, and you will let your population go back only to safe places. Too many civilians, too many Jews, too many Israelis in general have died since October 7. Enough is enough. We have to bring back the security to our country.
So they may not be going home anytime soon. Thank you so much for being with us, Knesset member Bismuth.
Thank you so much for hosting me. Thank you, sir.
Experience the power of truth with ILTV News. If you're looking for quality content and captivating visuals, join our news community and become an integral part of our team as we embark on a mission to unveil the real Israel, dismantling the web of lies and misinformation that surround reporting on Israel. By subscribing to ILTV News, you will not only have access to the latest updates, but you will also amplify our message, creating a ripple effect that carries the truth far and wide. Subscribe today and help reshape the narrative. Available on the web, Android, and Apple.
More than 15 countries in the past week decided to suspend funding to UNRWA after details were revealed on its workers' involvement in the October 7th massacre. ILTV's Emily Schrader with the latest from freezing New York City.
Yes, hi from a very cold New York City. We are here outside the United Nations in the aftermath of more than 15 countries suspending funding to the UN Agency for Palestinians, UNRWA. Now, this organization has come under significant controversy in recent weeks due to the revelation that the organization has more than 1,200 Hamas or Islamic Jihad terrorists who are active members of these terrorist organizations that are employees of UNRWA. In addition to that, as some of the Israeli hostages who have been released back into Israel have testified, they were actually held in the homes of UNRWA teachers in at least 2 instances. More information in recent days has revealed that there are also Hamas commanders who in their day jobs are UNRWA teachers who took part in the October 7th massacres, including in Kibbutz Be'eri specifically. And for an ongoing time, the UNRWA organization has had significant associations with Hamas in the Gaza Strip. Their facilities have been used to fire rockets. They have actually stored rockets not once, not twice, but 3 times they have been caught with storing rockets inside of their schools, Hamas rockets. And of course, in addition addition to that, there have been multiple reports from multiple organizations, independent analysis and reports, that they have been teaching anti-Semitism, glorification of violence, incitement to violence to Palestinian youth. So this organization is under significant controversy, not only to have a suspension in funding, but in fact to disband the organization altogether. Now, in response to the cut in funding, approximately 75% of their budget is now being cut off based on the countries who have agreed to cease funding. But the UNRWA organization, despite the fact that ILTV has reached out to them for comment, has not formally responded to our requests or our inquiries. However, they have stated that should this go through, they will not be able to continue their activities on the ground in the Gaza Strip. Now, given the information that has recently been revealed, we're not exactly sure what their activities are in the Gaza Strip. However, that is the situation as it stands today. Emily Schrader from here in New York City.
Thanks, Emily. And with an arsenal of 150,000 rockets and mortars, Hezbollah is a major threat to the northern border. After a month of daily rocket fire, Defense Minister Yoav Gallant is warning that war is on the horizon, and Haifa residents would be the target of a potential Hezbollah strike. ILTV's William Sharon reports.
Defense Minister Yoav Gallant has raised concerns that a war with Hezbollah might be on the horizon, with Haifa at the forefront of the strikes. Gallant emphasized the need for comprehensive preparations in Haifa, citing the looming threat of extensive rocket attacks from Hezbollah. Hezbollah is reportedly possessing an arsenal of over 150,000 rockets and mortars and could unleash up to 8,000 rockets daily. Their weaponry boosts precision, long-range capabilities, and heightened destructiveness, posing a severe risk to Israel. Despite the confidence in military victory, Israeli defense officials acknowledge the vulnerability of the home front during the initial stages of the war. The potential damage to Haifa is deemed significant, even with the Iron Dome's 80 to 90% shoot-down rate. Officials anticipate that Hezbollah's sustained rocket fire will cause prolonged harm to the civilian population. Defense Minister Gallant, addressing the situation in the greater Haifa area, asserts the patience is wearing thin and forceful action may be necessary to ensure peace along the northern border. Gallant's remarks come amidst daily attacks from Hezbollah in Lebanon, including rocket, missile, and drone assaults on northern Israel. Aside from military preparedness, we are actively engaged in political diplomatic efforts, and clear instructions have been given to the Homefront Command for civilian readiness. Gallant affirms he concludes with a stark contrast, stating that if the situation deteriorates, the situation in Haifa will not be good, but in Beirut, the situation will be devastating.
Tenkavod in Hebrew, give respect in English. In this case, the words refer to a United Hatzalah program designed to make life easier for the elderly. With so many family members busy with war-related issues, volunteers are making certain that the needs of the elderly do not go unanswered.
Tenkavod started in 2012 with the goal of preventing the deterioration of the medical and emotional state of elderly people. The project is meant to prevent getting to the elderly before it is too late. All volunteers must take a 44 hours training course so they can be able to give the proper medical response to any situation the elderly may be required. There are 700 volunteers in over 33 cities across the country from north to south. That means that over 700 elderly people across the country are receiving help for free once a week.
I'm going to be 97 soon.
You're going to be 97 in November?
In November.
And we're going to have a chocolate cake.
Okay.
What should it say on the chocolate cake?
I love you.
I love you. I do love you. I love you, Lucille.
The volunteers help by taking blood pressure, checking vitals, and in many different ways to help improve the medical situation of the elderly. I started this program 8 months ago, and I've been visiting Jenny once a week for the past 8 months. I'm helping Jenny medically by measuring her blood pressure or helping her with different medications, being able to calm her down when she is a little bit stressed, or having her to do it for me. And I've been helping Jenny around the house in many different ways, for example, changing her air conditioner or helping her with computer things.
I was very sick, and then when we finished the war, we will go to Israel. My family was not survive anybody. From the family, my mother, I survived, and my father was not with us together in the ghetto. He was away in the partisans. So only me, my mother survived. So I began to draw many things from my head. Little by little, I begin to make a little bit light, nice colors, bright colors. So, and I begin, this was for my survivor. Believe me, I'm a fighter. I didn't want to show my children that I cry, that I suffer. I want to give them a life that they should not remember that I'm a survivor from Holocaust. Tenkavod, it is a very important place because we are not very healthy. We're old. So when they come, they make us feeling like they're on my children. They look at me, they send me somebody to look my blood pressure, how I live, how was my sugar, how was my life. And from this time, I have a nice guy who comes to me always, every week, to give me help. If he comes, I'm very happy, and I wait in this day to see him. And this is a very nice idea, and I ask you people, if you hear my voice, if you hear my question, if you hear my story, please be nice and help us, because we depend very much from your heart, from your understanding.
My friendship with Jenny, which is like a grandmother to me, is very important. I'm helping Jenny with emotional level by communicating with her, helping her.
We are thankful up to God that you can help us. For me, Daniel is my grandchild. He gives me a very good time. He gives me to have a good mood, play with me. He thinks it's me very good things, and I'm grateful for him too.
Thank you for coming. Oh, I love coming to visit you.
Respect the elderly. We journey now to the heart of Binyamin, where the unlikeliest alliance between Christian cowboys from Montana and ultra-Orthodox girls is rewriting the script of coexistence in the midst of wartime challenges, while saving Ruths Horse Farm. ILTV's Amit Harari has the story.
Remember the cowboys? Well, this is the incredible story about how they helped Ruths Farm. In the heart of Binyamin, near the settlement of Alon, a remarkable story is unfolding at Ruths Horse Farm that defies imagination. Evangelical cowboys from Montana in the USA have joined forces with ultra-Orthodox girls, forming an extraordinary alliance to expand the farm, all amid the backdrop of wartime. Ruth Iman, the farmer's owner, describes the coexistence as a blend of normality and impossibility. On one hand, it is the routine of the shared Shabbat meals and storytelling by the fire, and on the other hand, it's a situation that seems implausible but is happening right before our eyes. Ruths Farm has been operating for a decade now, diversifying its services to include caring for children with emotional challenges, boys expelled from educational institutions, and recently, ultra-Orthodox girls facing severe crisis. The unexpected turn of events occurred when a group of American evangelicals aged 20 to 25 arrived in Israel. These individuals, passionate about Israel, stumbled upon Ruths Farm. The Montana cowboys have become an integral part of the farm, contributing to the establishment of riding areas and lodgings for the horses. And right before they bid farewell, Ruthie emphasizes that the farm transcends its agricultural role. This farm is much more than just a farm and provides for those who have nowhere to go. What the group from Montana did was actually to save the farm. They came to us like angels, and the connection with the girls here was seemingly illogical, but also very special.
And let's take a look at the weather forecast. Rain showers are expected around most of the country tonight, with lows of around 9 degrees Celsius or 49 Fahrenheit. Then tomorrow we'll see skies clear up a bit, along with steady highs of about 14 degrees Celsius or 58 degrees Fahrenheit. Gotta love those heated floors. That's all for today's news. For more updates from Israel on all your devices, check out our ILTV channels, subscribe to our ILTV newsletter, and don't forget to check out our new and improved website at ILTV.tv with all the latest news from the heart of the State of Israel. I'm Steve Leibowitz. Let's win the war and bring them home.